In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to create a component of windows, and then we're going to use the component panel to control, replace, deleting a component, and some tips how to use the component. I'm going to use the basic gazebo form I created last week. If you don't have this model ready, you can click on this polygon and input 8, enter, to create a quick polygon shape. Push this up so you can draw on one of the face as your wall. We're using polygon because we don't want to restrain our window component on the box shape. So now let's zoom in and draw our window on one of the panels. Pick any face you like and use the offset tool to click on this face and pulling inward and input 6, enter. I'm going to select the bottom edge, use the select tool, and use the move tool to move up. You can hold down the up arrow key to lock it to the blue axis. I'm going to input 24, enter. So this bottom is 30 inches from the bottom. Now let's apply some material to this surface, a glass one. So I'm going to use the sky transparent. You can orbit to check you can see through. Use the select tool, double click on this transparent surface, including its 4 edges, and right click, make component. So I'm going to call it window 1. And pay attention, it can be glued to any. You can either select vertical because mostly our window will be glued to vertical, but for me, I just leave it as any. It works as well. I'm going to leave the axis as is using the left lower corner, but you can also change it to the middle point or up corner. And also cut opening. If it's not checked, check here. This is a special feature the window component must have. And also make sure the replace selection with component is checked. So now if I click create, you can see if I click elsewhere and click on this one again, in the entity info you can check is a component and the name is window 1. You can also open this component panel to check. Click on this little house. It's showing all the in-house in model components. Remember this lady? It's not in the model anymore, but SketchUp still keeping those unused one in the component panel in case you want to bring them back. So now if I'm sure I'm not going to use it, you can click on this little icon called details and then purge unused. So the lady is gone forever. So now you see I got only one component here. It's called window 1. So basically this is it. You create one window. So now if you click on this one to pick this component up, it can be glued to anywhere. But if I put it on one of the walls, you can see it's cutting the wall, single face wall automatically and create a window. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the circular array with the rotation tool. So select this window first and activate the rotate tool. I'm going to use the origin because it's the center of my gazebo. Press the up arrow key so your protractor is aligned with the horizontal plane. And then click on this origin. That's my center point, the first click. And then second click, I'm clicking orbit back and clicking on this endpoint. So you see I'm rotating this one based on my origin. If I press the control key, so it's making a copy, click on this, the third click on this endpoint, and immediately input 7x. So you got 7 copies around the axis. So these are all, if you use select tool, these are all components, window 1. Only after that, you can zoom in and double click to enter the edit mode of the component. So I'm going to, now I can add more details, like pull this face inward 2 inches to enter, and then just add some very basic frames. So I'm always using the center line, midpoint to midpoint, to create 8 panels, and then use the offset to put it inward 0.5 inch, 0.5. So you can double click, double click, double click to quickly, and then delete all the center lines I'm not going to use. So now if I pick some wood material for the frames, so maybe a dark one for the inside and some fancier one for the outside. And only then you use the push-pull tool to pull this one out to make it 3D, like 2 inches outside. And you can zoom in and pull this one out, maybe just 1 inch. So use the select to select outside. You see I got like a window all around. So this is the first step of window component. So now I'm going to show you, so I'm going to delete. Right click on this window 1 and select instances. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to show you a little bit more complex window component, and this one I'm going to use I'm going to model only half of the complex shape, and then using a mirrored component to form the other half. This is a good method to model something symmetrical. So let's start. I'm still using the offset tool to offset 6 inches inward. Select this bottom edge, move it 24, and then I'm going to use an arc, 2-point arc from this midpoint. Starting from this midpoint, you can see this cyan color is meaning tangent to the top edge. So if I'm move my mouse up and down along the left edge, it's showing a magenta color, meaning tangent to both edges. double click here. So I'm getting a tangent, a quarter circle shape right here. Use the line tool from that midpoint to midpoint. Use the eraser tool to erase the right half. You see what I'm doing? I'm leaving only the left half. So if I'm going to give it some glass material and double click, just the same as our first window component, I'm going to right click, make component. So this time I'm going to call it window 2 underscore half. So pay attention to all the settings I talked and then click on create. So use your move tool, click on this endpoint, press the control key and make a copy right here. So there you have two methods. You can either right click and flip along components red, or if I undo it, you can also use the scale tool. Press S to activate the scale tool and hold down the control key and use the grip to make a measured component. So until you see -1 on red scale, or you can input -1, enter. So either way. So now if I double click to enter the half, I can start modeling some details like offset 2 inches inward. Going to use some wood for this to make it clearer. And then I'm going to use line tool to draw. Okay, I'm going to divide. Just put your mouse on the left edge and right click, select divide and input 3. You can input 5. So it's going to still divide into 3. Enter. So now if you move your mouse here to the 1/3 distance from top, so you can divide this panel in 3 sections. So I'm going to use the offset to do some smaller half-inch, half-inch, enter, double click, zoom in to cleaning the middle lines, and give a even darker material right here. So now you can use your push-pull tool to pull this out 2 inch, and the inside one only 1 inch. Okay, so you see I need only focus on half of the window, and then the other half will be updated automatically. So I'm stopping here, but in case you are using some follow me tool or rotation scale tools to make this, adding more trims and more details to the window, this will save you a lot of time to do on both sides. So now after I do that, I'm selecting both, hold down shift key to select both components and right click to make another component. So this one I'm going to just call it window 2. So you see in this component panel I got window 1 is the simple square one, rectangle one, and the window 2 is like with some shape. So now I select this window 2, and to do the rotation again, press the up arrow key, orbit back, first click here, control key, second click here, and then immediately input 7x, enter. So I got all the windows in this a little bit more interesting shape. Now, in case, okay, this is a gazebo. We want people to walk in. So I'm going to pick one of the window, this one, and right click on it and make it unique. So you see in this panel, I got two same shape, but this one is called window 2, number 1. So I'm going to edit the name of it. I'm going to call it door, enter. So if I click inside, you see this one is updated. The name is called door. I double click into it. I'm going to delete that half, and then right click on this one because it's still, you see here, it's still called window 2 half. So I'm going to make unique this one as well, and going to call it, change the name to door half. Okay, so you notice like I'm in the edit mode of the door, but I still need to double click again to edit this door half. This is called nesting, like a component in component. So now if I'm going to use my select tool to select this bottom edges, like all the from left to right, select the bottom edges and use the move tool to move it from top yeah, just a little bit longer. Then actually, you know what, I'm going to pull this one back. I don't want to copy the frames like in 3D mode. I want to copy it in 2D. That's simpler for me to select. So I'm going to use the select tool again, select these 2 frames. So use the move tool again, press the top midpoint, press Control key, and make a copy down there. You see this is like a flashing right here. It's because I haven't updated this component, so it's still haven't execute the cutting hole function onto the original wall face. So if I'm using select tool to select anywhere outside my component, once it's exiting the edit mode of the door half component, and then click again to exit the editing mode of the door. So you will see, okay, this is automatically cut a hole on the wall so you can see through. But I still need to finish the editing, so I need to double click once and double click twice. So I'm going to erase this one and pull this inside out 1 inch. So now I finish editing of this half. I'm clicking once. You know I'm outside of the editing mode. If I click on this half, I see the blue box. But you know I'm still in the edit mode of the door. You see this dash line still, and also the other instances fade out like a gray tone. So now if I'm going to use the move tool, press Ctrl to make a copy right here, and right click, flip along the components red, and make a copy, flipped copy. You see it's still not cutting holes, but wait until I click once. So this cutting a hole on the wall face. Now let's go check the component panel again. So in this model, I have a door component and the door half, window 2 component and the window 2 half. For example, you want to swap all this window 2 back to the simpler shape. Maybe you found out it's too expensive to draw it, to buy this kind of window. So I'm going to use a cheaper window. So you can select on this window tool and right click, select instances. So which means it will select all the this window 2 component in your model. You see, I'm having this one. Don't worry, you don't put it anywhere. And then only after you selected all the components window 2, you choose this window 1 and then right click and select replace selected. Boom, all the windows swap to the window 1. So this is a good practice if you want to have options or like a different varieties and checking different materials or shapes of a feature. You just create multiple components and then swap them with the component panel. So I'm going to select it, replace it back to my window 2. So I think that's it. That's all I need to tell about component. So which you can make a unique one. You can create component in component to save half of your modeling time. And also you can swap component by using the features in this component panel. That's our first exercise. Don't forget to save your model.